Kim Jacobson. I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm an attorney, and I'm a person living with Parkinson's disease. Today, I want to talk about two things that are sort of related. The first one is the honeymoon period. So a lot of people talk about the honeymoon period of Parkinson's disease. And this is a period that can last up to 8 years, generally 3 to 5 years, where basically your life as a patient with Parkinson's is practically normal. It's also a stage where the treatment tends to work most noticeably effective. I remember when I first went on medication, my doctor said, "This medicine right now will make most of your symptoms just melt away." And so I guess I'm living in my honeymoon period of Parkinson's right now. It does affect my life. I have to take medication 3 times a day. I'm very conscious about moving a lot. I have some tremors, some internal tremors, some external tremors. I relate some mental health issues to the Parkinson's, but on a day-to-day basis, most people probably don't notice the Parkinson's other than me and my immediate family. And I can do most of the things that I was doing before I was diagnosed. But it made me kind of think about the fact that in 3 years from now, 5 years from now, maybe 8 years from now, things might look very differently. And so what do you do with that information? I've talked to a lot of people about that, especially my husband, and he's always of the attitude is, why worry about today what is not going on today? If something happens in the future, you could deal with it then. I am a person my whole life who has worried. I am a worrier. It's probably not the greatest characteristic to have with this kind of disease, but it is who I am. I am a mom and a worrier in my core. And so it's very hard for me not to worry about the future. But what I'm trying to do is to think about it, maybe make plans for it, but not sit in that worry, not sit in this, oh my God, it's going to be so bad, I'm not going to be able to do things. But what I think I can do during this honeymoon period, when I'm feeling very much like myself and able to do the things I want to do, is something I call disaster prepping. And basically, it's the things that I'm doing right now to hopefully make, when things get more difficult, a little bit easier. So what have I been doing? One thing I've talked about a little bit, but I'm going to talk about a little bit more right now, is I've changed my diet to mostly plant-based food. And I've really upped my fruit and vegetable game. I'm eating a little bit of fish. I am eating eggs, but I am not eating any chicken or any beef and very limited dairy. And I have to say, I've definitely noticed a difference in my Parkinson's symptoms when I've made this change. And just overall, I feel like I have more energy. I feel like my thinking is a little bit clearer. And my digestion is definitely better, which is a big issue in Parkinson's disease. And I think that has made a huge change. Another thing that I've sort of been exploring is the idea of how is exercise going to work best for me? And I know what the conventional medical opinion is, that you need to do a lot of cardio exercise when you have Parkinson's. You should be doing hours of cardio exercise, and that would really help you. And I think that can be true for some people, but one thing I've noticed so far, at least in my symptoms, is that rigidity is much the biggest symptom I probably have, stiffness and rigidity. As a matter of fact, at one point my husband's like, you started kind of hunching over and walking like a little old lady. And I've done 2 things that have really helped me with the rigidity and stiffness. Well, maybe 3, but 2 that I'm doing currently now. One is that I found a very good chiropractor. Now, I don't think all chiropractors are created equally. But one of the issues I have is, along with the rigidity, is that I have a lot of issues with my lower back. I have arthritis, I have bulging discs, and I have nerve damage. And they're not exactly sure why that has happened. And I also have a pinched nerve in my neck. I did have a fall when I was pregnant with my second child, so that might have been part of it. Who knows why all these things happen. But I have noticed that weekly visits to the chiropractor have seemed to help my pain level in my lower back and my neck. The other thing that I've been doing is Pilates reformer classes, and that has helped so much strengthening my core. And I think it's really helped me to have having a strong core, and using weighted exercises, I think is really super helpful in helping with your mobility and with rigidity. And I also just recently tried a gentle yoga class that I really liked, and I think that might be something else I'm going to add to my repertoire, because I think for me, a lot of stretching and working with weights, things like that, are equally important to cardio. I am still doing cardio, but mostly walking right now. I probably can get back to the gym and maybe try a little light jogging on the treadmill or maybe the bicycle, but mostly walking is what I'm doing cardio wise, but trying to at least walk every day, trying to get outside, get some fresh air, some vitamin D in that way. I also had gone into physical therapy. I talked about it in an earlier video, but I did the LSVT BIG program, which is special physical therapy for Parkinson's. And I meet with 2 physical therapists twice a year now. If I have problems, I can go see them even more often. But one is a follow-up to the LSVT BIG program to see if I'm still have my same mobility, see how things are progressing. And then I see a neurological physical therapist, which I just sort of fell into her lap when I was having the initial tremors. And she also checks in with me, asks me what I'm doing, how I'm doing, and then sort of does a PT evaluation from a neurological standpoint, just to make sure I'm not losing ground at all. And if I start losing ground, one of those physical therapists can then start working with me more often. Another huge thing I've done that I think has made a big, big difference in my progression is finding a good sleep routine. I try to go to bed every day around the same time and wake up around the same time. What I found is when I do not sleep, my symptoms are so much worse. And I've sort of found the right combination of medications for my Parkinson's disease. I'm taking a slow release carbidopa levodopa at night, and I think that's made a big difference in my ability to sleep through the night. I'm also taking that with magnesium. That seems to alleviate some of that muscle aching during the night. And then occasionally I'm going to throw in an over-the-counter sleep med on the nights that I haven't maybe slept so great or need help falling asleep. That's not an everyday thing because I don't think I want to take that every day, but as needed type of thing. And that combination has really been successful for me. And most nights, I'll never sleep through the entire night, but most nights I'll give up a few times and then quickly go back to sleep. I've also found that now that I'm sleeping more consistently, I'm not needing to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. I think I had just made a habit of sort of getting up because I couldn't sleep. So that's been really helpful as well. So those are sort of things I've done for like my body to help my body in this disaster prep. But I also think it's really important while we're in this honeymoon stage, or for me, while I'm on this honeymoon stage, to do things for the Parkinson's awareness campaign at large. Because right now I can speak. I'm speaking to you. I have done a lot of public speaking about living with Parkinson's, about being a lawyer with Parkinson's. I've been writing about having Parkinson's. I'm doing these series of video blogs about Parkinson's. And I think it's really important when you have a voice that you talk about it and you spread awareness so that we are not living in the shadows, so that people know that not everyone with Parkinson's is very old, that there's people that are still working with Parkinson's, that Parkinson's is not a death sentence, and that you can live well with Parkinson's. And that's exactly what I'm doing. And I think spreading the word is so important about that. I also think it's really important to raise money because after all, wouldn't a cure be nice? Or wouldn't better medication be nice? Or wouldn't it be nice to have a medication that would stop this disease in its tracks so that my honeymoon lasts forever? So I've been doing some fundraising. I'm doing like sort of the traditional, hey, it's my birthday, give money to Parkinson's for a fundraiser, give money to the Michael J. Fox Foundation. I actually did a karaoke fundraiser with some of my choir members in my front yard, and we sang karaoke and I asked people to donate money. I also am participating this year for the first time in the APDA Inspirational Walk, and our team has raised over $1,000, and the fundraiser is about a month away, so we're doing really well. I think, you know, as much as you can use your platform, use your diagnosis for good, you know, it's always about making lemonades out of lemon for me. What can I do with this crappy situation I was dealt with, because it is crappy, to make something better, to make the world better, to make my own personal plight better. Because certainly if the research is out there and better medications are there, that could help me personally. To the same effect, I think it's really important to participate in clinical research. If you have Parkinson's and you are not on medication yet, they want you. Go out and find a clinical research to participate in. It's so important. But even if you are on medication, there's so much research that you can participate in right now. The Michael J. Fox Foundation has an insight study, and all that literally is a couple of times a year answering questions, and then they take all that data together, and it's very helpful in deciding where to put their money into research. They'll ask you questions about your symptoms, about medications, about food that you're eating, that kind of stuff. And really all it takes is, you know, being on your phone or on a computer. It doesn't take very long at all. I also participated in a Fox Insight Genetics sub-study. So I'm not sure if this study is still going on, but you can certainly Google it. And basically what happened is they're trying to figure out who has the genetic versions of Parkinson's versus who has some other kind of version of Parkinson's. And it's helpful to know, because if you have the genetic versions, there may be medications out there that are more helpful than others. And all they did really was have you take a free 23andMe ancestry test, and they were able then to use that to figure out, you know, what version of Parkinson's you might have. And they'll store that data, because even though they told me I did not have a genetic version of Parkinson's, they thought I might, because I'm Ashkenazi Jewish, and a lot of people that are Ashkenazi Jewish do have genetic versions. But they said even though they don't believe right now I have a genetic version, they are going to save that data, and maybe sometime in the future there will be evidence that actually I do have some kind of genetic version, that they weren't looking at the correct genes. I did a similar Indiana University genetic research study where they just took the data from 23andMe and also looked at it perhaps in a different way than the Fox Insight Genetics sub-study looked at it. Most recently, I did my most, I guess, intrusive, you would say, clinical research. I went to Yale, and they were doing a neuropet research study. And I had read about it on Facebook. There was some ad that popped up, and I contacted them. And basically what it entailed was an hour MRI. Well, first I had to be screened to see if I was eligible. Then I had to do an hour MRI. Then I had to answer all sorts of questions and go through a neurological medical exam, a physical exam, weight, height, that kind of stuff. And then once that was done, and they took some blood, and once I got screened for the first part of the study, then I had to go back to the second part of the study where I did an hour-and-a-half PET scan, where they took blood during the PET scan and then did some more sort of survey type testing. So they were screening for depression things related for Parkinson's, and also will use the information for the PET scans to do future studies in terms of developing new medicines. I have to say it was really, really fun and exciting to be part of this kind of study. I did sort of feel like a lab rat, but the people at Yale were super nice and friendly and appreciative, and they sent me a little money for participating, which I really didn't anticipate, but that was super cool too. So I have the money put aside for a rainy day. Maybe I'll have a spa day or do something fun with that money. So I think, you know, if you can participate in clinical research, that would be really great. And for me, you know, anything I can feel like I'm doing something rather than just sitting back and taking it feels like I'm fighting, feels like there's positive things going forward. And that makes me hopeful and makes me hopeful about the future. I've also been trying to connect with other people with Parkinson's. I know some people who have watched my videos have reached out to me. People have reached out to me on Facebook. And I'm super appreciative for that, because I think having a community and having people that are going through the same thing that you can ask questions to and rely on is really important and makes it a little bit easier as well. Some other things that we've been doing, my husband and I, are reevaluating our future. You had an idea of what your future might look for, and I don't want to say this disease is controlling my life and changing everything I'm planning, but I think that there's a little realism that's important to think about as well. We have a house that has 3 floors. I have trouble right now in the morning getting up the stairs to my office. At some point, I'm guessing stairs may not be my friend, and it might be a good time to downsize and get a smaller house with no stairs or fewer stairs. It also is making me reevaluate my financial situation. I had always assumed after my second son finished college that we would get nursing home insurance. And my second son is a freshman in college. So that is not going to happen, because any of you who have tried to get nursing home insurance with Parkinson's know that you cannot get it. You're excluded. So I think we need to be like more financially savvy about what we're doing. You know, do we keep the life insurance that maybe we had planned on getting rid of after we paid off the house and we're done with the kids in college? How are we going to structure our finances? We probably need to talk to an expert at some point. But, you know, I do think that's part of the disaster prepping. You don't have to feel like it's definitely going to go bad, but I think to prepare and put things in place in case things don't go exactly how you planned is a smart idea. I don't think that's being overly negative. But I have been enjoying the honeymoon. That's the main thing, because I know that there's things I can do right now that I might not be able to do in the future. So even though sometimes I'm exhausted, I'm trying to say yes to things generally. If people ask me to do things that I'm interested in doing, I'm trying to say yes. I'm enjoying my hobbies, especially singing, because I know that is one thing that may be more difficult in the future. Right now, my voice is still pretty good. I could still sing. I get a little nervous sometimes when I'm singing in public in front of people. Sometimes my hand tremors a little while I'm singing. Maybe my voice gets a little tremory, but I'm going to keep singing because it's something I really enjoy doing. I'm also really working on deepening and investing into the relationships with people that I think will be in my future for a long term. So this means having, you know, more deep conversations with my family, especially my husband. I think since this diagnosis, at first it was a little shocking and stressful, but if anything, it's made us super close. And we've really taken the time to like talk about it and understand it and really be supports for each other as we go through this journey. Because after all, he's the main person who's gonna be there for me through this journey, and we are partners in this journey. I know people talk about caregivers. He will be my caregiver, but I think I'd like to think of him as a care partner, especially right now when I don't need a ton of help. I've had the opportunity to progress my career recently, and I thought about not doing it. And people have even asked, is that a good idea, Kim? Do you want to like take on more responsibility with this disease? And I'm saying yes to that. Because if not now, when? There's not going to be more opportunities once the disease progresses a lot more. So I figure I'll take on more responsibilities now. And then if I feel that I can't do them 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I'll either retire or step down a little bit. But I don't want to say no, because things may get bad in the future. Because really, we don't know what the future holds. I'm trying to enjoy now, and I'm trying to not make assumptions that tomorrow is going to be bad, or next month is going to be bad, or next year is going to be bad, or 5 years from now are going to be bad. Because the truth of the matter is, I feel better today than I did when I was first diagnosed, because I'm taking better care of myself. I'm in a good routine. My mental health is better taken care of. I'm understanding the disease and things I can do now to help myself now and in the future. And who knows, maybe I'll honeymoon for a really long time. I hope you all have a good afternoon, and I enjoy sharing my story. Bye-bye.